It was just before 3 in the morning when 23-year-old Mackenzie Lueck landed at Salt Lake City International Airport. The terminal was nearly empty. Rows of silent chairs, the hum of cleaning machines, and the occasional voice over the loudspeaker. Her flight from California had been delayed, but she didn't seem bothered. She had a plan, a schedule, and a ride waiting. At 2:42 a.m., she texted her parents to let them know she'd arrived safely. Nothing unusual. She'd done it after every trip. Minutes later, she opened her Lyft app and requested a ride to Hatch Park, a small public park in North Salt Lake. It wasn't on her route home, but she didn't explain why. To the driver, she seemed calm and polite, quiet but alert. They made small talk, the kind that fades as the city lights blur past the windows. By 2:59 a.m., the car slowed at the edge of the park. Another vehicle waited there with its headlights off. The driver later said Mackenzie thanked him, stepped out, and walked toward it without hesitation. She didn't appear nervous, didn't look back. That was the last confirmed sighting of her alive. Her phone stayed on for less than a minute after she left the lift. Then the signal died. No further activity, no calls, no social media logins. Just digital silence, the kind that investigators later described as instant disappearance. Most nights, this city never truly sleeps. But in that narrow hour between 2 and 3 a.m., there's a kind of stillness where things can vanish without a sound. And that's exactly what happened. The park sat on the edge of the freeway, a stretch of grass and trees that most people never noticed. At 3 in the morning, it was nearly invisible. The streetlights were dim, the air still, the parking lot empty except for 2 cars. When Mackenzie stepped out of the lift, she walked straight toward the second vehicle. The driver later said she didn't hesitate. She didn't check her phone, didn't look around. She moved like someone who knew exactly where she was going. The other car pulled away within seconds, its headlights cutting through the dark for only a moment before disappearing onto the main road. There was no panic, no raised voices, just motion, quick, clean, and quiet. By 3:01 a.m., her digital trail ended. Her phone signal went dark and her smartwatch disconnected. Investigators later confirmed that her last message, "I'm here," had been sent less than 2 minutes before. For most of that night, no one noticed anything strange. The few drivers who passed by saw nothing more than an empty park. No one reported suspicious behavior. It would be nearly 2 full days before anyone realized she was missing. The next morning came, like any other, sunlight hitting the same parking lot where she'd vanished, joggers passing by without a second thought. But somewhere between that quiet departure and sunrise, something irreversible had already happened. 1 minute, she was a college student returning home. The next, she was a missing person, and no one yet knew it. Morning came, and life in Salt Lake City went on as usual. Flights arrived, traffic built up, and students returned to campus. But one person stayed silent. By 9 a.m., Mackenzie's phone still hadn't reconnected to any network. Messages from friends went unread. A classmate texted her about an upcoming project presentation, no reply. That wasn't like her. She was the type who double-checked deadlines, who never missed group work. At 1 p.m., she missed a scheduled appointment. Then another. Hours stacked up, and no one could reach her. Her parents in California tried calling. The first time, the line rang to voicemail. The second time, it went straight to disconnect. By that evening, friends assumed maybe she'd lost her phone, maybe she was catching up on sleep. Nothing about it felt urgent, not yet. It takes time for absence to become alarm. But her routines told a different story. She hadn't logged into her campus email. She hadn't used her credit cards. No social media, no calls, no data pings, nothing. It was as if the person who landed that morning had simply stopped existing by dawn. The next morning, when she still hadn't shown up or responded, the group chat that had once been full of jokes turned quiet. One message summed it up. Has anyone seen Kenzie today? No one had. And by then the silence was starting to sound like something else. Not a break, not a delay, but a warning. By the second day, the quiet had become unbearable. Mackenzie's parents tried to stay calm, convincing themselves it was something simple. A dead battery, a lost phone, maybe a spontaneous trip with friends. But by the night of June 18th, that optimism was gone. They hadn't heard from her in nearly 40 hours. At 9 p.m., her father called the Salt Lake City Police Department and reported her missing. Officers took the report seriously. A young woman, last seen getting into a car at 3 in the morning, then completely off the grid. They began reconstructing her final known movements. Detectives pulled airport surveillance footage, Lyft ride logs, and traffic camera recordings from around Hatch Park. Every timestamp told the same story. Her flight landed at 2:01 a.m. She texted her parents, requested a ride at 2:30, and arrived at the park at 2:59. Then, nothing. Investigators reached out to Lyft. The company confirmed the ride was completed successfully and that the driver had picked up another passenger shortly afterward. He wasn't considered a suspect. His story matched the data. The focus shifted to the person she met, who was waiting at Hatch Park, and why had she gone there instead of home. Detectives knew digital trails never lie for long. Phones, apps, social accounts, they all leave fingerprints that can't be deleted instantly. If Mackenzie had planned that meeting, someone else knew it too. By June 19th, search teams were combing the park. Volunteers joined in, canvassing the area with flashlights and drones. But there was nothing to find, no bag, no phone, no trace of her at all. The ground looked untouched. But the truth was buried deeper. By June 20th, the case had turned from a missing person search into a data chase. Detectives at the Salt Lake City Police Department built a timeline minute by minute, her phone's final signal, her Lyft route, and the invisible gap that started at 2:59 a.m. They noticed something in the metadata. Another device, another signal, appearing near the same location at the same time. The owner's name, Ayoola Ajayi. At first, it was just a lead. Ajayi lived only 15 minutes from Hatch Park. He was a local IT specialist, polite, cooperative when police first called. He told them he barely knew Mackenzie, that they'd messaged once through a social app and never met in person. But the digital record disagreed. Phone tower data placed both devices in the same spot for over 3 minutes that morning. Then both went dark. Hours later, his phone reconnected to his home Wi-Fi. Hers never did. Detectives began looking into his background, reports of previous controlling behavior, inconsistencies in his job history, neighbors who described him as odd but quiet, and one more thing. The same neighbors mentioned a large fire in his backyard the morning after Mackenzie disappeared. Thick smoke, strong chemical smell. He told them he was burning old wood. Investigators wrote that phrase in their notes, burning wood. It would show up again and again in the file. And by the end of that day, the case that started with a Lyft ride had a name, an address, and a new direction. By sunrise on June 21st, investigators were standing outside a small 2-story house in the Fair Park neighborhood of Salt Lake City. The home belonged to Ayoola Ajayi, the man whose name had appeared in Mackenzie's digital trail. From the street, the house looked unremarkable. Fresh paint, trimmed grass, blinds drawn. But the backyard told a different story. Neighbors said that just a few nights earlier, around 3 in the morning, they'd seen flames rising above the fence. Not the kind of small fire used for roasting marshmallows. This one burned high and long, with dark smoke and a smell that didn't belong to wood. When detectives questioned Ajayi, his answers were calm, almost rehearsed. He said he'd been burning some old boards as part of a home project. No urgency, no visible stress. Just steady, even words.
I thought yours was for ladies.
Oh, I was going to bring the whole hard drive of the old security camera,
But my lawyer told me that because you mentioned that the IP and everything, that I should hold back.
Okay.
And she asked me to be careful what I share with you, because she said it doesn't make sense for my IP to be showing.
Well, let me just go through this. You called me afterwards and you showed me some screenshots of your phone, right?
Yes.
You're here. You said you wanted to come down and show us some stuff and everything.
Yes.
Okay, so we didn't call you down here. You're not under arrest. You're not being detained. You can leave anytime you want to, okay?
Yeah, technically he could walk out that door, but come on, who really does that when two detectives are staring you down? That's not freedom. That's pressure dressed up as politeness.
This doesn't make sense. I want to get to the root of it
Sure.
too.
Yeah.
Because when you said my IP is showing,
Right.
that means something is wrong.
Okay, so you're still willing to talk to us and show us the things, right?
I only want to share two things with you.
Okay.
So that is a seeking arrangement. So if you see, some of them are even in Seattle. And some of them, so it's like, even some of them are in Philippines. So I have PTSD and anxiety. I just need to talk to someone whenever I'm alone and I'm freaking out.
So when you joined that site,
Mm-hmm.
do they give you a different phone number for that site?
No. People normally put a number there to share with people. So I think that's how on my profile, just put my phone number there.
What phone number did you put down?
That 435. And you can see that's high message. So that means she's using iPhone and I'm using iPhone.
So she just texted your number.
Yeah.
This isn't over the app.
Yeah. I don't know, but on the profile, you can put whatever you want there. So on my profile, I have my phone number there in the description that I just need someone to chat with.
Can you show me that?
Yeah. So why is homicide reaching out? Why not like?
We do missing persons as well.
Okay.
It's not just homicides, we do missing people too.
Because I'm scared.
He sounds genuinely scared, but scared of what exactly? The cops? Or what they might actually find?
He said he's looking for someone. That's why I was freaking out and I started logging into everything. I even downloaded the whole security camera.
Yeah.
And I was going to bring it here just to prove that I was under the camera the whole time. Yeah, I have a security camera in my living room. So, and when I view it, I was there the whole time that night. And then, just like I just showed you today, my baby mama was with me, and she's pregnant. I have a username.
An ID number or anything?
So, yeah, they're done. I think I closed my own username. That's why it's asking me to choose a username. And
See all these dates right here?
Mm-hmm.
The 17th, all these dates and times, the 16th when I told you, and when you
Mm-hmm.
told me it's 6:12, all these messages are messaging her phone from your Wi-Fi, from your IP.
And there it is, the digital footprint. You can delete texts, you can wipe your phone, but Wi-Fi doesn't lie, right?
Really?
Mm-hmm. That's why we're coming to talk to you. We didn't just pick you out from a phone book, you know.
Yeah, that's why I was freaking out. I started logging into everything. It's like, I need to start gathering information. I even called my lawyer already. I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
You said you downloaded.
Yes. And I was,
from the 17th, between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m.?
yes, so.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you did this or you were involved in it at all. I'm just saying that someone at your house or someone was using your IP address, that's all.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it.
I would like to do that because I'm freaking out already. I have anxiety and I have PTSD, so that's why I've been calling you, like, please let me help if any way I can help. Even my lawyer don't want me to come here right now.
When your lawyer tells you to stay home, but you still show up to talk to homicide, that's either guts or panic.
So, the last time, here's my front door. I don't know if you remember it. That's my front door. That's the front door camera.
That's daylight. I'm talking about nighttime.
Yeah, so that the last time is a motion sensor.
Mm-hmm.
The last time someone get from the come in, it's 9:58, 9:58 p.m. And then it jumped to 6 a.m. in the morning.
All right, but I have the same system. I can delete. I can pause it. You know.
So, but if you pause it I can give you access to Vivint. I can give you authorization and see if anything is deleted. And I also have the hard drive. I can give the hard drive to you.
Okay. All right.
And if someone deleted it, you'll be able to see like time different, like it just. But what I can do is, you are right. Someone can delete it, but one thing that someone can do is, around that time, you can still view the old video from there. So that's someone delivering Grubhub, just like I told you that I was looking for food. So now let me just, you can still view the old video. So you can still view everything. And the one thing is that when someone comes in, that light up.
Right.
And the whole time I view everything, the light doesn't light up. You can see there's no dots there. So skip the next video. The next video is at there, and then the light doesn't light up.
Well, that's at 3-something a.m.
Yep.
Who's that at 3-something?
So on that website, you can put it there like, you don't want this type of race or this type of gender. So she stopped responding once I sent her my pictures. I thought maybe she just doesn't want my type of race, so I just stopped responding to her.
Right. But she actually texted you on your phone number.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's what I'm thinking. Maybe there's a possibility with Talk in the past. I've been on it for 2 years. I go in and out. And when I check it, there's some people even still message me today that I haven't talked to since last year. And she just messaged me today, like, did you still need someone to talk to? And I said, not today, that I have someone that I'm talking to right now.
So you haven't deleted any text from that number?
No. The only difference is that I upgraded from iPhone 6 to iPhone 10. So I brought it with me.
Which one did you have on the 16th and 17th?
This one I haven't used it since last year. Even right now it's not even charged because I haven't used it since last year.
So earlier you said we could have to take your phone and download it. Are you still willing to do that or no?
I just need to call my lawyer and see if it's okay. Because I want to help as much as I can.
Sure.
But she's saying that some police just want to pin it on someone that they can pin it on me. But I have the hard drive in my car. I downloaded the old hard drive that have the old security camera. I even downloaded the whole text and all my text messages from my phone provider. I brought everything with me. But on my way here, she was like, you are going to shoot yourself in the foot.
I'm talking about, we take your phone, we hook it up to a machine, and we download the contents of your phone.
Let me get an approval from her first.
Okay. You want to do that now, or you want to do it tomorrow? Give me a call?
I work tomorrow. I work Tuesday to Saturday.
What time do you work?
I work from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So I can come by this time if she approves.
I'll be here all day. I get here at 6 a.m. So
if you download a word on it, are you going to download it?
Everything that's on your phone.
So you're just going to mirror the phone.
Exactly.
So you have access to the app, the browsing history, everything.
See, yes.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm okay with that, but I just need the approval.
That's fine. Give me a call tomorrow morning when you wake up. Let me know what they said.
Okay. And I'm willing, if you have anything that you need from me, I'm willing to give it to you.
You know, AJ, the only reason, you can understand if this was your sister or something, or your mom, we'd be working just as hard to find her for you, okay? This family is in that same boat. We just want to do everything we can.
They always say that we just want to help, but let's be real. In an interrogation room, every help comes with a catch.
Just because you've chatted with her, you've texted back and forth twice or however many times, and it's bouncing off your IP address, we just want to cross every avenue to make sure that people aren't involved, people who are staying with you, people might be parked outside of your house using your Wi-Fi. We just want to make sure.
Okay.
Okay, so talk to your attorney. You got my number. Give me a call in the morning.
And another thing is that when people come to my house, my phone is not locked. So that one is also part of it. But on that day, the only person that comes to my house is my baby mama, and she never touched my phone without me because we are not dating anymore. So And just like I showed you, she came over at 9 p.m.
Right.
and she stayed till late.
Okay. All right, yeah, give me a holler in the morning and we'll go from there, all right?
If I bring my phone along, will it take so I can plan on...
You bring the phone?
If I come back and I bring my phone, actually, my lawyer's calling me back. He wants to make sure I didn't tell you anything.
Police noticed a shovel near the fence, still coated with dark residue. The soil around the fire pit looked freshly disturbed, uneven. When asked if they could look around, Ajayi agreed. Inside, the air smelled faintly of cleaning chemicals, bleach, detergent, and something metallic. They photographed everything: the yard, the pit, the shovel, the containers near the door. Then they left quietly, pretending they were finished. But the notes they wrote that day were short and final. Return with warrant. Neighbors watched from their windows as police cars rolled away. One of them later said, "We thought they were done." But they just started. And by that evening, detectives had already drafted the paperwork that would change the investigation from a disappearance into something far more serious. On June 22nd, detectives came back to the Fair Park house, this time with a warrant. What had started as a quiet suburban morning quickly turned into a full-scale search.
Yeah, they didn't give me the search warrant. I authorized it before. And then when they said the search...
have the search warrant at hand.
Classic moment. Cops say there's a warrant. Suspect says there isn't. Somebody's bluffing, and it's usually not the ones with badges.
Can I borrow your phone then to call my lawyer?
I'm going to give you her phone number right now. You remember her name? When we went that?
Susanna.
Yep.
Is there anyone else in there?
Let's
make sure.
Please.
Gloves.
Here and wait until the search warrant gets here.
You can but not say it's going out.
We're not going to search anything. We're doing this.
Clear in this room, clear in the bathroom.
They are scrolling through my phone. Without the warrant, they are going through my phone.
You can almost hear the panic setting in. Everyone talks tough until the cops start swiping through your messages.
You done with the phone?
Thank you, sir.
You wanna? No garage, no house, no car. I'm not.
The update, man. We'll call it.
I have no update.
You look like mailbox, man. By the way, we both got our best.
I look like what?
You're like the mailbox. USPS.
Oh, I am USPS. Like we said, as soon as we know something, I'll tell you, okay?
I hope he's not the Postal Service. That means he's going to raise his rates every day, not be efficient.
Exactly. Did you say you're going to which library?
There's a library down this road.
Oh, on the other side of the freeway.
Yeah.
100 West?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a new one, right?
Yeah, it's very new. It has couch that I can just sleep. But I will be there, and I don't have a phone, but if you guys walk in, I will sit where you can see me.
That line says it all. Man's trying to sound calm, but he knows the walls are closing in. You don't offer to sit where they can see you unless you're waiting for trouble.
Okay.
I will tell them, and maybe they'll send me to pick you up if they see if you want to come back.
The police officer picking me up there, that would be
In my nice red Camry. But if you pee in it, I'll take you to jail. Like we
But I have to pee.
Only in America can a felony conversation pivot to bathroom talk mid-arrest. Wild contrast, and the tension just keeps simmering underneath it.
All right, AJ.
Good luck, man.
So is that where you'll probably be?
Yeah, unless you want me to stay, I'm happy to stay.
No, you're welcome to leave if you want to. If we wanted to come talk to you, is that where you think you'll be?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good luck, man.
Thank you. Spend a couple $100 on trees.
What's going on, man?
So, detectives are ready to talk to you about everything that's going on real fast, so if you want to come, I'll give you right back to the house real quick.
But there's Fox News over there.
I know, I'm going to drive you back in my car. It's a Camry, so...
But,
We'll stay away from the news.
Yeah, we're not going to go by the news. We don't
but
talk.
I don't want my face on the news.
I will do that so it does, okay? So stand up real quick.
We're just gonna.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, bye.
are you arresting me or something?
No. Stand up.
Don't worry, you're gonna be detained for a little bit.
You're being detained, but just for a second.
That's the classic cop line, just for a second. But anyone who's ever been cuffed knows that second tends to last a whole lot longer.
Okay, I got to put you in handcuffs just while we're driving.
Per policy, we're
We're
gonna.
just gonna go talk to detectives for a little bit.
Why are you detaining me?
Because you need to talk to detectives, and I need to transport you back. So my policy says every time someone's in my car, they will wear handcuffs. So that's why they're...
But there's a news over there.
They can come right back. They can
We're
come
probably
right
not
back.
gonna take. We'll take you to another spot so you're not by the news.
Okay?
We should hung
How
up.
did the news find out?
We were wondering the same thing.
Unmarked police cars lined the street, officers stretched evidence tape across the yard, and forensic teams began digging through the ash behind Ajayi's home. At first, they found what they expected: pieces of wood, broken boards, scraps of metal, but mixed in with the debris were fragments that didn't belong there. Melted fabric, the corner of a plastered purse strap, a piece of jewelry warped by heat. The deeper they dug, the stranger it became. Chemical tests confirmed the presence of accelerants. The soil beneath the pit showed signs of extreme temperature. Detectives collected every fragment, labeling and sealing them. When they reached the bottom of the burned area, they found material that looked nothing like wood or fabric. The crime lab later confirmed what everyone feared: it contained human tissue. Inside the house, investigators gathered more evidence: a mattress cover with dark stains, cleaning supplies still open, and a gasoline container tucked behind a shelf. None of it proved guilt by itself, but together, it painted a clear picture. When police questioned Ajayi again, his composure began to crack. His answers got shorter, slower. He stuck to the same story, just burning wood, even when detectives confronted him with lab results.
We've had a week and a half now to prepare, and we have been very busy because I care about Mackenzie, and I want her.
You hear that a lot. I care. But caring doesn't always mean innocent. Sometimes it's just the safest word to hide behind.
I think you did care about her. I agree. And I know that there's more for you to tell me, and you're holding back, and I don't understand why. AJ, I just told you that your phone records and the location put you up at the meet.
And that's the nail in the coffin moment. Phone records don't play favorites. You can argue emotion, but not GPS.
Do you think, honestly, and expect me to believe that you ended that conversation and somehow you and her location end up in the exact same spot?
That question right there, that's not a question. That's the sound of a detective tightening the leash.
Oh, I'm not doubting you. If I see that too, if I'm in your case, I would be asking myself, what are you asking me right now?
It's not a miraculous question.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
Stuff doesn't just happen.
No.
Yes, I agree with you.
I'm telling you to explain that. And so far, you have not.
The silence in that room probably said more than AJ ever could. You can almost feel him running out of stories to tell.
Well, how do I explain something I don't know?
Are you saying you don't know or you don't remember? Because those are two different things, AJ.
They didn't argue. They just thanked him for his time and walked out. But by then, they already knew what was coming next. The house was no longer a possible lead. It was a crime scene. By June 26th, the investigation had gone fully digital. Every movement, every ping, every byte of data was under review. Detectives mapped out both phones, Mackenzie's and Ajayi's, on a synchronized timeline. The pattern was undeniable. At 2:58 a.m., both devices were active near Hatch Park. At 2:59, they were stationary. At 3:01, hers went dark. By 3/7, his began traveling south, back toward his house. The route data matched perfectly with his car's navigation history. There was no gap, no error, no room for coincidence. Forensics recovered deleted text fragments from Ajayi's phone. One read, "Text me when you're close." She had. That was the last message she ever sent. A deeper search of his laptop revealed a deleted folder containing screenshots of messages and a saved map of Hatch Park with a single pin marked near the parking lot. Even after deletion, fragments of those files remained in the system logs. When investigators cross-checked that timeline with his Wi-Fi router data, it showed his phone reconnecting to his home network less than 15 minutes after Mackenzie's last known location. Digital evidence doesn't rely on emotion. It doesn't get nervous or change its story. It just waits to be found. And once found, it doesn't forget. By that evening, the case was no longer a mystery of where she went. It was about proving what he did when she got there. By June 28th, detectives were done waiting. The evidence was lined up, the digital trail, the backyard fire, the forensics, everything pointed in one direction. Early that morning, they surrounded Ayoola Ajayi's house. No sirens, no shouting, just quiet coordination and a knock on the door. Ajayi answered, wearing workout clothes. Calm, detached. He didn't ask why they were there, didn't appear surprised. When officers read him his rights, he simply said, "I understand." Inside, investigators found what they expected and more. Several hard drives, a collection of phones, and in one of his closets, personal items that matched descriptions given by Mackenzie's family. On his computer, they recovered search histories related to burning materials, chemical accelerants, and concealment methods. As the arrest unfolded, neighbors watched from behind curtains. One woman later told reporters, "He looked so normal, the kind of guy you'd wave to and not think twice." That's what disturbed detectives most: his control, his calm, the absence of visible guilt. When questioned, he repeated the same sentence over and over, "I don't know what happened to her." But the data told a different story, and by that night, his name was no longer just a suspect on paper. It was attached to a murder charge. For the first time since June 17th, Mackenzie's family knew who was responsible, but they still didn't know where she was. On July 3rd, nearly 3 weeks after Mackenzie disappeared, detectives finally got the call they'd been waiting for. Search teams operating in Logan Canyon, 90 miles north of Salt Lake City, had found something buried in a shallow grave, partially burned remains, consistent with the evidence from Ajayi's backyard. The site was remote, surrounded by thick pine and gravel roads that few people used. Investigators marked off the area and began collecting every fragment they could find. The soil showed clear signs of disturbance, and the burn pattern was identical to what had been found at his home. It didn't take long for forensic confirmation. Dental records matched. The remains were Mackenzie Lueck. The news broke that afternoon. The search that had started with hope ended with certainty. Detectives briefed the family first. Reporters waited outside the police headquarters, cameras lined up in silence. No one spoke for a moment when the announcement came, just the sound of pens scratching and shutters clicking. At the scene, investigators noted the precision of the burial. The location wasn't random, it was chosen for isolation. Far from traffic, no cell coverage, and nearly impossible to reach at night without knowing the terrain. It wasn't impulse, it was logistics. Later that evening, the police chief spoke to the press. This was not an accident. This was planned, deliberate, and methodical. For the family, the waiting was over. But closure wasn't the right word. You can close a file. You can't close a loss. By the next morning, the canyon was quiet again. Only the wind moved through the trees, carrying the weight of a name that would no longer be spoken in the present tense. In the weeks that followed, Salt Lake City changed. For a place used to quiet nights and campus life, the case of Mackenzie Lueck left a scar that reached far beyond the investigation. News vans lined the streets near the university. Reporters repeated the same headline every hour: Students who'd once walked alone at night now traveled in pairs. Online groups formed to track updates, dissect timelines, share warnings about safety apps and ride shares. A candlelight vigil took place on campus. Hundreds of people stood in silence, faces lit by phone screens and candlelight. Her classmates remembered her as bright, organized, endlessly kind. Professors described her as driven, someone who turned plans into action. Behind that public grief, detectives were still working. The department released sections of the case file, phone records, evidence logs, a digital reconstruction of her last known movements. The purpose wasn't sensational, it was educational. It showed how small, routine actions, a text, a ride request, a late-night meetup, could become pieces in a crime that looked ordinary until it wasn't. Advocacy groups began using her story to push for better background checks on rideshare drivers and stricter data sharing between apps and law enforcement, but for her family, headlines didn't feel like justice. Each newscast was another reminder of what they'd lost. Public awareness grew, trust, in small ways, shrank. By the end of that summer, Mackenzie's name had become shorthand for a different kind of caution. Not fear, but awareness. A lesson that sometimes danger doesn't look like danger until it's too late. It took more than a year for the case to reach the courtroom. When Ayoola Ajayi finally appeared before a judge in 2020, the calm expression he'd worn during his arrest was still there, that same steady, unreadable look. But this time, the outcome wasn't in his control. The evidence was overwhelming. DNA matched. The digital trail was complete. The forensic timeline had no gaps left to question. He was facing the death penalty. And that's when his tone changed. Ajayi entered a plea deal, guilty to aggravated murder and desecration of a human body, in exchange for removing the death sentence from consideration. He didn't offer an apology, didn't explain why. He just said the words, guilty, and waited for the next line from the court clerk. When the judge read the sentence, life in prison without the possibility of parole, there was no reaction from him. No tears, no visible regret. But behind him, Mackenzie's family sat holding photos of her, a graduation portrait, a smile frozen in time. Her father spoke briefly after the hearing. We're grateful he will never hurt another person again, but there's no closure. There never will be. Outside the courthouse, cameras clicked again, but the story was already over. Not because justice was done, but because there was nothing left to investigate. The man responsible would spend the rest of his life behind concrete walls, and the woman whose life he took would remain 23 forever. When the court documents were finally closed, investigators and psychologists began dissecting what happened, not just how, but why. Ayoola Ajayi's behavior didn't fit the image of sudden rage or impulse. It was deliberate, planned, calculated. Every step he took that night suggested control. Over time, over communication, over perception. He wasn't driven by chaos. He was driven by ownership. Experts later described his mindset as coercive control in its purest form. He built digital intimacy through trust, then used it as a weapon. That's what made this case stand out. There were no public arguments, no warning signs visible to the outside world. The violence existed behind screens and small decisions that seemed harmless until they weren't. He maintained composure even after his arrest, because control wasn't just his motive, it was his personality. Every statement, every denial, every moment of silence was a continuation of that same need to dominate the narrative. For investigators, this case became a study in modern manipulation, how predators hide in routine, how normal behavior becomes camouflage, how convenience can blind us to risk. What happened to Mackenzie wasn't about being careless or naive. It was about someone who understood how to exploit trust and use technology not just to find his victim, but to erase her. The scariest part wasn't the crime itself. It was how ordinary it looked until the very end. In the years since that June morning, Mackenzie Luke's story has never really faded. Her name still circles through classrooms at the University of Utah, through safety seminars, and through the quiet conversations parents have with their kids before they leave home. Her family built a scholarship in her memory, one that supports young women studying communications just like she was. Every spring, her father speaks at the ceremony. He doesn't talk about the details of the case anymore. He talks about presence, about how a single message, a small check-in, can mean everything. There's a bench near the center of campus engraved with her name. Students sit there between classes, some knowing the story, others just seeing it as another quiet place to rest. But the message carved beneath it reads, "Stay aware, stay kind, stay connected." The case of Mackenzie Luke isn't just another tragedy on a timeline of crimes. It's a reminder that danger rarely announces itself. It blends in with routine. A text, a ride, a meeting in the dark that feels harmless until it isn't. For detectives who worked the case, her photo still sits on a bulletin board in the office, not as evidence, but as a reason, a reminder of why they keep doing this job. Because behind every file, every name, every story like this one, there's a person who should have made it home. And that's how Mackenzie's story will always end, not with fear, but with a quiet vow, to remember, to learn, and to never let silence be the last word.